Give it a couple seconds here. 6:30 for the 0 people watching us. It's okay. Gives them, it should pop up saying we're live, so gives them time to get in. I know we could give it till 6:31 if there's no viewers, probably too, just in case. As soon as we see one eye on there.
Is that something we should have started like 5 minutes ahead of time?
Some people do. Some people have like a splash screen that sits there and says the stream is starting soon. Like it goes live, but it just says, which you could do here. I think.
That probably would be
Yeah.
what we'll need to do next time. That way people can log in.
Here. 6:30.
All right. Welcome, everybody. This is our first live streaming ever. Neither one of us have any experience doing this, so bear with us, please.
So yeah, this is episode 1 of Fish Home Improvement.
We do make our own sound effects. We could. Our sound effects guy quit, so.
Yeah, we didn't want to pay royalties either. So
Yeah. So anyway, what we're going to be doing today, you'll be seeing, we're going to start on Jer Bear Shack.
Yep.
Unfortunately, he couldn't be here tonight, but
Now that's the Barely Fishing Shack, and depending on who you ask, it's the 2.0, 2.2, 2.4. It's the second rendition of it, essentially.
well, that's a good question. Okay, so that's how this all started, was nicknaming that shack because he's never in it.
True.
You know, barely fishing. Okay. He's a Jer Bear.
Yep.
So from the original, can you go from the original, skip 2.0 and directly go to 2.2?
Yeah, I don't know. See, did he call the first one 1.2? See,
He didn't call it 1 point. He just called it was barely fishing.
True. No,
You know?
he thinks it should be 2.2 because it's 22 feet long or something like that, but I don't know.
It's one of those fish tails, you know. It's always a little bigger than
Yeah, well, initially...
It was that big. Yeah. He's using 8-foot tape and telling us it's 22 foot. So
Right. But yeah, so with that in mind, we're just going to take you through some of the work we started doing. This will be a running series for the month. Definitely going to take a look at each of our 3 shacks, have some lists of different things we're going to do. Today's will be mainly the work that we did over this last week on the Barely Fishing 2 point, whatever you want to call it. So,
according to the Jer Bear, it's 2.2.
right. So with that, I will pop this up here. I apologize if you get if you have epilepsy or something in the next couple seconds. There, that should look better. So, put a little bit of a video clip together. You should see us in the bottom right-hand corner. Please feel free to comment. We can stop. We're here to chat with you guys. If you have ideas, thoughts, concerns, you know, it's just showing what we do here. But,
Yep. Or let us know what we screwed up on.
that too.
All right, roll them.
Roll them.
Hey, we're here with Barely Fishing. Well, we're going to start a series on our fish house improvement projects on your shacks. This is the one I picked up that I'm going to be redoing and trying to improve some things on it. We call it Barely Fishing 2.2. We're going to be adding our shack up to the bottom of it, of course. Since I wanted to use the 2x4s all the time. And we're putting on also new lip.
So he's talking about the shack pucks, and you'll see us put some on here in later videos. One thing I was surprised about when we actually watched an ice castle video on how to set up your house, and they actually used green treat 4x4s to set between the shack and the ice. Good idea. You don't want your shack right on the ice, especially if you're going to stay out there for an extended period of time.
Sure.
But when that happens, if a lot of traffic or a little water comes through the ice that day, those 4x4s are staying and you're going.
Absolutely, yeah. We did put those on my shack on Camp David would be my shack. We did put it on that one, and essentially little pucks that it doesn't freeze to the ice. You know, I know it doesn't matter how much water comes up, they don't freeze. And I left mine up there for like 6 weeks up at Lake of the Woods this past season, and got out there and it popped right off the ground. So that was
And if you saw a clip of that, it was a full moon that day for sure. But there you could see the water coming through the snow. It was probably 10 below zero that day. And, yeah, that house came right out of the ice, so.
So yeah, and another part will be featuring those a little bit more, but if you're interested now, we do sell them on our website, barelyfishing.com.
Barely fishing.com.
There's an echo in here, but do feature them there. So you know, you go ahead and go check those out. We have gotten some orders out. We do ship them, so great solution, and they just mount right to your shack. You don't have to worry about it freezing to the ice when the water comes up. So
All right, roll them, Hank.
Jack on it, a little bit heavier duty, weight wise. These seem to struggle a little bit to lift it. And maybe don't know how old they are either, so we're gonna be putting some new ones in on. Everything else on the outside should be pretty good to go on this thing. Stepping inside, our first main project we're gonna do is we're gonna install the new furnace system. This one is a really old one, and it seemed like it's struggling to put out much heat at all, so we're gonna replace that with a new system. We're gonna take the refrigerator we got right here that we were given, and we're gonna try to incorporate that in by the counter system here. Redo some shelving, some different cupboards, put some cabinetry above it. We're gonna take the microwave out and redo some of that area up there too to make it more user friendly. And then we're thinking over here, we're going to take all this stuff out, install our flat screen TV because we gotta have an entertainment center. Of course, we're gonna have to add our stuff. And
that's the thing too. Dutch has one of the nicest entertainment systems out there. So you know that'll be featured in a future video. But you go back and look through some of our YouTube videos, you can see it in there. But he's got a subwoofer. A lot of people say that might scare the fish. Well, it doesn't matter to us.
Well, and at least it keeps the ice off the windows too, you know, that rattling keeps, you know, all the icicles down.
Right.
So, hang on a sec here. We're getting live comments. It says waiting for barely fishing, that there's no live video going. Let's see what we can do about that.
Active, 8 active.
If you guys, if there's anybody out there that is hearing us or seeing us on here, please just say hi. Okay, we're getting a comment, so okay, thank you very much. All right, let's go ahead and continue.
Just real quick, we do got one question. I'll pop that up here. So we did get a question about it being such a long shack. Is there information, you know, is there going to be more than one TV in there?
And well, as far as the shack layout goes, we're gonna, he started out with putting a 40-inch TV in there, and that's gonna be too small. I think we're gonna bump that up to a 50. And funny story, that's how the Dutch hut actually got built, because I bought too big of a TV. But different story. But yeah, so.
Yeah, for sure. And I know in my shack, and some shacks have double TVs in there. I've thought about doing it in mine because of where the bed layout is, but we'll definitely go into that in maybe another part coming up here. So, thanks, Dwayne.
then moving towards the back, we're playing with the idea of taking out the smaller table, fold-down table system and putting in a scissor couch. So we're gonna have to shorten up these cabinets underneath here, make them a little narrower. And they got the batteries in this one, which we're gonna redo positioning of them, clean up the wiring a little bit, and install a Marine 2 battery charging system in there. And then on top, we're gonna be taking these lights all out, the fans, got some rope lighting in the roof, we're gonna be taking all that down, installing some new flat LED lighting that I have. And that should take care of most of the ceiling. Just add some wiring interrupter, so if we ever wanna add anything in the future, it'll all be there. And they'll have to tear nothing apart.
All right, so it's the plans today here, Jerry. And here we'll go into a little bit of kind of what he talked about. I also did my own kind of information about him, but give you a little bit better look at what's in there before we actually show you what work was done here. So that's where we're going at here.
We're gonna start taking all this extra lighting and stuff out of the ceiling and get some fans out here and some shelving out of here so we can start getting ready to do some of the add-on builds and figure out our new lighting we're gonna put in.
What are you gonna do for fans? Because they kind of had some rudimentary like PC fans in here, right?
Yep, 12-volt fan system, that's
Go
awesome.
Jer, go
You
Jer.
probably go to the conventional fans deal. Maybe had one 12-volt fan in the back.
Okay.
Till we get everything out and kind of get a game plan, we won't know what we want to do, see what fits the best.
So all this strip lighting's going off the sides too, right?
Yep.
And I got lighting all around here, and your plans to put in newer lighting switches?
Oh, well, we have switched on here ready, so I wire this in and then I put a new 12-volt LED light system in the ceiling right in the center.
Okay.
Versus the rope lights will give off more light.
Yep.
And we won't have to worry about those other big lights hitting your head on them because they hang so low.
You're not tall enough for that, Jerry.
They're cool, but.
Where's the entertainment system going?
Right there in that wall.
It was my concern as well,
Shelf
so.
is that. It's all coming out. We're gonna close the box and close a 45-inch TV in there, flat screen.
Okay.
Then put in a sound bar, DVD player.
Subwoofer?
Yeah, I do subwoofer more likely. Eventually, some down the road, I'd like to take out the stereo system, right there in front of you. Put in a whole surround sound system with the player right built into it, kind of like what Dutch has got in his shack,
Okay.
and then redo it.
So we got a question from Dwayne asking if Jerry's going to be getting rid of the propane lights. I think it just looks like propane lights in there, but it's actually those are 12 volt that are in there. 12 volt and 110 is all he has. Later on, we have decided that as far as propane goes, that wall mount furnace is going to get moved out of that spot. Just kind of wastes a lot of space there. So
Yeah, and on top of that, the lights you see on the screen right now, he's leaving those ones in. They're a little brighter, give a nice floor lighting, for the fish, but everything else we're working on taking out here. So.
All the speakers in here.
You got plans for more cabinets in here then?
We're gonna do some cabinetry down on the end there and we're gonna have that refrigerator right above that hole and stuff, and then add a little pantry above it, way down there.
This is the cameraman's fault.
Take the microwave probably out and turn that into some storage area, because we're really short on storage area.
Okay.
Well, we got all the lighting, extra lighting on the ceiling and stuff, and shelving out of our way. And now next we're gonna start taking the furnace stuff behind you, panel out and getting the old furnace out of there, so we start fitting the new furnace system. That's what we're gonna start with anyways, get the new furnace in here, and then move on to there, do some wiring, and then probably start redoing the battery system. And then start adding all our entertainment center.
Any lessons learned from taking this stuff down?
There's a lot of screws, I know that. But it's coming.
So yeah, on that, something I've found just helping remodel some of these fish houses, make sure you got all the bits. In this particular project, we found Torx, Square, Phillips, Standard. They were all there. So make sure you got bits for all that.
yep.
All right.
This whole top panel off too, and we get the exposed wire and run some extra wire in. I think we're gonna run some 120 up through there too, so if we need to plug in, we can.
Where are you gonna install the stripper pole?
Not sure yet. It's gonna be pretty heavy duty, because I takes it off the hole.
Let's check in with.
Yeah, he's not kidding on that one. Dwayne's talking about a diesel heater in there. Well, the furnace that we're putting in is a 35,000 BTU. The brand name is Suburban, but it's basically an RV furnace. Forced air, low oxygen shutdown, but it really doesn't use any air from the inside the shack at all to run the thing. So, but yeah, I do like those little diesel units. Never actually installed one or used one, but they look pretty neat.
The Barely Fishing 2.2, 2.4. So how's it going, Jer?
Taking the center panel out, if you've ever wanted to run these things with these beams in the center, and then got the wire marked which one's positive, which one's negative, and everything, so we can wire in some other 12-volt accessories and some new lighting and some 12-volt fan. Kind of the way it's put together. It's not too bad to get apart.
Yeah, it was just a couple screws and then some finishing nails in this case. So still one right here.
Are all the furnace systems?
If you don't know, just take side cutters here and pry them out like that. So
I taught him that.
I made it look easy.
Merry Christmas, the shitter's fault.
What else you got planned for this quarter then? So you got some work down here done a little bit.
Next, we're putting in a new furnace system.
Furnace system. Okie dokie, check back on you in a bit. How was it taking this thing out?
That was interesting, I guess I had to get it off to the side to get to the wiring in the back, it was tough back there. And to get the screws out to get the ducting loose. Now it's to fit a different design in there, we're gonna have to make a new chimney hole, it looks like.
So what you're seeing now, this slab of wood here, they had screwed down and the screws actually stripped. So Jer Bear and took, I don't know, 20 minutes trying to get it out himself, got frustrated and turned it over to Dutch here. So this is Dutch's.
And he actually busted a chisel trying to get everything apart there. So this is my futile effort to try to split the 2x and get the pressure away from the screw. And then it made it a lot easier when I just forced, well, you'll see it.
Dwayne's asking if we're going to have a dry flush commode.
No, but we will be keeping extra bags on hand for you, Dwayne.
Yeah, if you don't know one of the downsides, right, you're out on the ice, you got to go in a bucket. But it's nice to have your own room for everything there. And kitty litter is actually the key there. And then we got a comment here asking where the sauna is.
Well, we are ducting the furnace through the commode, so I suppose we could actually, make a couple modifications and make that into a sauna / make that a full utility room there.
Well, absolutely. So once again, this is Dutch trying to get this board out. I just thought it was entertaining. So
Yeah, my agony is entertaining.
always.
I think in somewhere here too, I break Jerry's other chisel.
Yeah, some chisels were lost during this project.
So I feel like when you work that hard to get a board out, you gotta name it or something.
And then I forced the pry bar underneath there.
Call this one Jerry.
So I'll explain what's going on here.
Okay, so you hear me in the background. You hear me in the background getting angry at that chunk of 2x. Jerry cut this board 3 times, and it was still too short.
Now, why are you cutting this board?
Well, so what we're doing with all these is making the platform for the furnace to sit on. Because we want the furnace to get good airflow all the way around it. Here you see the bear doing some assembly work. This is just 1x4 green treat.
You want to show this to the wife, explain to her that it takes more than one power tool to do jobs. That's the reason to buy more tools.
All right, I got a couple comments coming in here. So first one we see here, plans for any fancy lighting. Now, Yvette, knowing you, that's you're talking like chandeliers or something like that, and we definitely don't go that far there. But typically do some LEDs. They're a little better on power.
Oh yeah. Nice thing about this is, anything's an option. Jerry still hasn't decided exactly what he's putting in for lights yet. Still yet to be determined, but hey, you never know.
And then Michael, we're working on the Jer Bear Shack, the Barely Fishing 2.0, 2.4, 2.2. And then Brent says, cut 3 times, still too short. Laugh out loud. I'll get back to it here.
Nothing more exciting than watching a guy
It's
pre-drill
better
and
than
screw.
watching paint dry. I
Well,
guess.
true.
Guess you know, you guys be the judge of that, but.
Furnace is gonna rest on, this will be anchored into the floor. Furnace will be anchored on in there. Now, one thing about these furnaces, there's only really a couple of screws that hold the actual furnace into the housing. As you can see, we've got, the screws removed right now. Thing was sliding back and forth like so it slides out butter earlier. It's all the way out.
My favorite part of this clip is you say it slides out real easily, but you were struggling a little bit there.
Well, it did just before you turn the camera on,
oh,
so.
flame the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wanted to, not going to. Like that. So there's a little screw here, so when you're putting this, if you're installing one of these projects, one thing you gotta think about is where your propane line's coming in at, your exhaust. They do not recommend putting a bend in this exhaust. They want a straight line from the furnace to outside the shack. The one thing that because we're just renovating this, we're not building ourselves from scratch, we are kind of obligated to where they have the furnace situated. It's not recommended to have the inlet and exhaust on the front of the shack where it's gonna be picking up sleet and snow and crap off the road. What we're gonna be doing and what we've been working on for a while is building a cover for this so that it won't just keep snow and the ice out from slopping in there when you're driving down the highway, but also to help block it from snow gathering in there when you're leaving it on the ice for a weekend or trying to come back. So, fun fact, my previous shack came back after leaving the shack up there for a week, came back and furnace wasn't running. Took me forever to figure out that snow had plugged my air inlet up.
You didn't have to go catch it?
Nope, it was still there.
Also, if the NFL's watching, that was definitely not rebroadcasted NFL there. It was totally a replay from some other guy on the internet.
And so we got that too. Long weekend, so, because these will pack with snow sometimes. Couple things to other think about is mounting. How are you gonna mount this to the floor? How are you gonna mount this to the platform? What we're gonna be doing is mounting the floor is pretty easy. Pre-drill our holes, get everything anchored in there nice and tight, put plenty of screws in. Got nice 3/4 inch plywood on the decking, so that's pretty easy. But coming through here, we're gonna wanna just kind of come right through the housing. You wanna make sure you miss anything vital when we're anchoring this down into the wood.
Now, a lot of nurses out there could take from this too, right? Like you want to make sure you miss anything vital when you're cutting.
Especially in, dealing with wood like that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And
Boom,
Yvette,
boom.
you can tell Greg, Yvette, but it'll be fine.
We'll catch back up with you after we start getting stuff in place. All right, so we got the first one in there. Better view. Now, what we're gonna need to do as well, as you can see, I kind of got the exhaust pipe kind of sitting in there. It might not be too easy to see that it's coming in at a 45-degree angle to the furnace. So, to remedy that, we're gonna be taking, and this is remedy number 1. We'll be going through 2 and 3 as this goes along.
It's a project.
This to sit like so, you can see that. Pipe's gonna have to come out at that angle. We're gonna have to trim it at an angle. Remove it from the exhaust cap there and braze it back on. My film guy was on break here. That way this will be able to sit nice and flush like it's supposed to.
They don't give me many, but
And still have a straight shot going into the furnace.
So after a lot of debating, how'd that 45-degree angle turn out?
We moved the furnace to a 45-degree angle instead of the pipe. And Jerry's concern was keeping the end of the pipe sealed so he wouldn't get CO2 back or the exhaust back into the shack.
Because that's a bad thing, right?
Near as I'm told. Near as I'm told. So what we're doing here is trying to gauge. My whole thing was I didn't want to cut more holes in the side of his fish house. Jerry, let's cut holes in the side of the fish house. So you kind of line it up here to cut holes in the side of the fish house. Okay, so take two. We, after getting everything set in place, it's a nice thing about not having anything permanently mounted. Trying to find where the plumbing and everything's gonna work the best. We're actually twisting this at a 45-degree angle as opposed to twisting the exhaust. And
I'd like to
we're
ask
also gonna
questions and
put
then have
an
them
access
answered in the
panel on
video.
the other side going into the bathroom, so we can get at the propane line and the thermostat wires a lot easier.
So Yvette asks if we're consulting an interior designer. So when it comes to fish houses, here's a fun fact. Typically, anything under cupboards or that's covered up, we just manhandle. And then when it comes to like accentuating pieces like the floor and things like that, we leave those to the wives to make decisions on.
And we will have a decorating the shack type episode as well. Can you go full on us right now?
Yep.
Hang on here. Technical difficulty.
Yeah. Apologize for all the crazy screen sharing again here.
So if you look behind us here, okay, some of our shack plaque decoration stuff, a lot more that we have and a lot more that we're making, but some decorations that we're going to be putting up. So some may not be what Mama Bear might want, but
Right.
we'll have enough for her to figure.
Got a little bit of everything back here. So
And now back to the video.
and back to the video. I think. Shield your eyes for a second again.
So when you have two round old guys on their knees trying to get underneath a little cabinet to work on a furnace, decide that, hey, let's maybe work a little smarter. So we're gonna be taking this stove out, and they're usually pretty simple, and this one is too.
All right, I got to pause. I'm sorry. This is funny. So, Jerry Bear posts and says, only in the Dutch hut, there's nothing girly or frilly going on in the Barely Fishing. And Yvette responds with, let me know if Mama Bear needs some custom drapes. So, there you go.
Yeah. Hey, now drapes are one thing that are definitely in need in some shacks, so.
Very true. And Yvette, you're going to have to type this, but you're professional. Is it seamstress? What's your actual title?
Now, we need some blackout curtains for the the Barely Fishing 2.0, because if he's putting that stripper pole in,
True.
You
We don't
know,
want to see it.
yeah, no,
absolutely.
no. Seen that man in a kilt? That's enough
All right.
to take out of here, because we took the cover off, and then we just got the 4 screws that anchor it in place, and then remove the gas line, and then that one's good to go. That'll give us a lot more room. And because we're gonna be replacing the center beam right there anyway.
Get some weight off our counters and no clap on those.
And believe it or not, it's just those 4 screws that hold that stove in place.
And that's my drill.
Yay! Okay, then we got the gas line. Here's another brain fart that we had. We're trying to go way back there, and there's a nice little fitting right on top of the stove.
How much did you guys have to drink when you were working on
Not
this?
enough. Not enough aiming fluid.
His
And then
fingers
he
literally.
puts his hand right on it.
Nice.
Maybe you can do it right here instead.
Light bulb.
Underneath.
The nice thing is he had the wrenches right there.
Of course, you never want to start just turning anything without holding a secondary wrench on it, so you twist something off.
Then always make sure your gas line, your actual propane tank is not connected,
Well, it's connected, but it is.
Good advice.
or that.
Turned off.
But it should actually, yeah. Maybe you should pull your tank off.
No, that was just me.
I was concerned for a second.
Yeah, that's important.
Timing is everything. So in the matter of 3 minutes, stove comes up.
Big.
Almost.
Oh, she's up.
You got a board stuck to it. Hang on, extra hand.
So I reiterate, we don't usually have the wives with when we're doing this stuff, 'cause then they just call us dumb and stuff.
Yeah. So it's much easier to get to. Now we can work on that nice and easy.
I think we should do that in the first place.
Yeah. So with this as well, we had talked about right where you see the camera aiming, you see the exhaust, the heat duct coming in from the bathroom area there. We were actually going to cut an access hole in there, which if you're doing something like this and you're going to need a place where if we were not able to turn the furnace at a 45-degree angle, that access panel would have been awesome to be able to get to the propane line, to be able to wire everything up, because you got your power to the furnace, you got your thermostat. But now that we found out that it only takes 4 screws to get the darn stove out of there, well, now we don't need to cut an access panel, so.
Right. One question, is there special appliances we recommend? I mean, what,
RV. As far as appliances go, home appliances work, but they're not sized appropriately for most of our fish house
yeah.
needs.
So keep it in mind, you know, barely fishing, we're, you know, winter camping with some fishing thrown in for good measure, so camping, make the connection
Yep,
there. So.
there you go, yep. Yeah, that might not have been a bad idea. All right, so with everything out of there now, we should have done this to begin with. Now we can. Dun, dun, dun. Now, furnace nice and easy. And second thought, I'm gonna switch everything over. Furnace is gonna come in here at an angle, similar to the angle the old piece of 2x was in the floor there from the old furnace. When we come at an angle, we'll be able to take and get access to everything a lot better. There's just 4 little screws and a propane line, and that stove came right out. All right, so we started this day out, trying to get the furnace put in.
So on that note, we do have a question, pretty good question here. Put it up. Do we have a lot of small space planning mock-ups for these, or are there typical layouts people follow?
With fish house, now if you're trying to remodel an existing fish house, you're kind of obligated to some things that are already in place. There really wasn't, without doing a full remodel on this thing and just gutting it and starting over with the new floor plan, this was the easiest way to get a new furnace in, but some of them, it's real easy to just take everything out, leave the walls in place, the outside walls, and just start new. You know, it's whatever you want to do. It's a small house basically, so.
Right. Well, and on that note, right, so my shack is manufactured, Jerry's new shack is manufactured. You built yours from the frame up, so you got to fully design everything in
My
yours.
frame was manufactured. You'll be seeing more of that one as time goes on here. But basically, I didn't like any of the floor plans that were out there. So I managed to find myself a ice castle that a tree had fallen on, and somebody had started the project by removing the fish house off the top of it, and I just had a platform and a trailer basically, and a frame. So got to do what I wanted, and you'll see more of that as it comes along. But yeah, basically anything goes. Other than, there's no limits to what you can do with these.
Pretty much. So last thing we'll transition into, this is pretty much 2 projects we worked on this week. So we worked on the heater, the new heater, isn't 100% done yet. That'll be coming. And then we also replaced the speaker system, which Dutch will touch on here in a second, but replaced the speakers within the house. Jerry Bear does need to get a new
Head unit.
head
they call
unit.
it. Yeah.
Yep. So we can actually Bluetooth it. The CD player doesn't work, but we'll just go over a little bit of that and call it a night. Let you guys get to football here. So a few more minutes here.
And well, what we've accomplished is we got 4 speakers done.
So these are after the
A
fact.
little sidetrack while we were trying to figure out the furnace and had to cut some holes a little bigger, but now we got tunage so they don't have to listen to me sing as much.
True. Also, we still need to replace this unit since it's, straight out of the 90s.
There's an echo
Like
sometimes.
myself. But, we got sound.
Hey, so all the shows look fantastic.
I hear static, that's not the speakers, that's, the radio station, because we're in a shop inside of a...
Being inside of a steel building.
Still building.
Oh, we're so, but those are good.
We'll
They
show
look
you.
nice.
We'll show you how we did this here. So
And one thing definitely accomplished. I'll be replacing these speakers. They're not very good sounding. There's 4 of them in here.
Little trip
And,
through the
so
Wayback
I got,
Machine.
some new
Right.
speakers set up.
30 minutes
They
earlier.
don't quite fit in the hole. So Dutch, what are we gonna do here?
So part of any good fish house remodel is updating the stereo system. Of course, you gotta be able to hear the tunes jamming when you're fishing or relaxing, whichever. So basically this is the gasket that come on, these are boat speakers. And it comes with a little gasket on the back of it, so it gives me a good idea of the dimension that I need to cut the hole to for around here. So just use that as a template. And since it's not a lot bigger, be able to mark it, maybe, something like that. General idea where we
it's
need
an
to
awfully
be.
steady hand.
Butterfingers. Try to keep it centered.
Close your other eye.
Oh, that was both eyes. Okay. So basically that's just what we,
For those of you that don't know, these speakers are pretty easy to take out. They just pop right off. And then unscrew that. 2 cords in the back. Speakers aren't that hard to replace.
and as you can see there are 2 different style screws in that one speaker.
Right. So when we talked about the screws, there's 2 square peg and 1 Phillips in that particular one. So fun.
When you do get them replaced.
Handy tool. We could use a skill saw, scroll saw, jigsaw, brain fart there. Sorry guys. Scroll saw, try to go around here.
You're fired.
Yep. Blade be awful close to hitting the outside, so we're just gonna trim off since there's not much to do.
One second. I just want to do it where you marked.
Very straight line.
Yeah,
Good
my
job.
granddaughter taught me how to do that.
Safety first.
Safety first. He's got ear protection.
And this went nowhere fast. Although it does give that fish house that nice burnt wood smell now.
Yeah. It's got a smoked wood smell now.
Let's see what we got for Dremel bits.
All right, take 2, because obviously that didn't work. So what are we doing now?
Well, see how far this is gonna cut in. And so we got about that much room. Don't want to cut through the outside wall. Oh, yeah, I think that'll work just fine. Much better than this one here. This all just burned wood.
Is that your Dutch accent?
So yeah, we'll push that back far enough for this work. I thought that was Scottish.
Oh, it was Scottish.
Well, I remember last time I did that.
You guys can comment how good a Scottish that was, I guess, but
All right. And it's a really bad camera angle. Looks like I'm purposely trying to saw my fingers off here, but they were actually quite a ways away.
uh-huh. I thought you were gonna saw your fingers off, yeah. Just giving the people what I saw.
Yep, yep. And this is where I was really hoping that I had safety glasses on too, because just getting bombarded with sawdust there.
Safety first, people. Do as he says, not as he does.
Safety first. As the cameraman gets underneath your armpit, be sure to wear.
Nose plug.
You take it for littering.
So we can, I'll fast forward through this spot a little bit here. You're gonna have to watch him drill the whole thing, but
Well,
let's see here. All right. So more or less,
nearly unscathed.
Bush is going to be contacting us, by the way.
Voila.
so yeah, just cut the hole a little bigger.
There's only 3 more of these to do, but one step at a time. And then once again, there's just two plugs for the speaker. Now, fun fact about speakers, it doesn't really matter which one's positive or negative, but you will get a different sound, almost deeper and not quite right if they are reversed.
Yeah, it loses some of the
Lows.
pitch, the high pitches if you look
Yeah.
at it backwards.
So, just fun fact there. Plug those in the right ones.
Well, they're red and red.
They are, because actually, and then let's see here. So, we'll go back to full screen here. Sorry about that again. So yeah, that's kind of what we accomplished this week. There's a little future plans on that shack, and then we have mine and the Dutch's shack as well still coming up.
Yep,
So,
we got yours. Actually, we're going to do some interesting stuff with his. He's got the RV door, typical RV door on every fish house.
for those that don't know, I'm 6'3", same height as him, and we both hit our forehead square on there. That's probably why we've lost some brain cells. I'm going to blame that.
Yeah, and that's why his forehead's flat too. So, part of it anyway. No, but those RV doors are short. The wind beats the snot out of them. The frame breaks on them. So we're actually going to put in a life-size door, steel exterior house door in his shack, and so that'll be interesting. I put one in mine, but that, like he said earlier, built that from scratch, so it wasn't that big of a deal. It's going to be interesting to see how the door frames are actually put in these ice castles. His 14 ice castle?
I think it's a 12.
12, okay.
Double
Tomato,
check
tomato.
that,
But yeah, so anyway, I think that's all we got for tonight.
That's what we got for tonight. Just behind us here, just quick thing. We do have solo cup koozies. They work real nice to keep your solo cup drinks going on. I'm Liza Minnelli. I got my tag still on here, but and we can do some custom signs, and we have some signs available, and all that's on barelyfishing.com.
Yeah, so we've got Broadway Station up there too.
Yep. Yeah, we've been doing some signs for some of the bars and businesses around the area too. So keep a lookout on that, and we'll be having another one of these next week. So please tune in, and we'll show you what we've done over the next week then.
Yeah, thanks for showing up. Have a good night, guys.
Thanks, everyone.